GT-3 National Championships. All right. SCCA which has been changed.
The good people of 1017 got some work to do. I'm going to get off the air for just a few minutes.
Give me the black flag. Okay, go guys.
No, I'll tell him. You want me to tell him?
You don't want me to start. On the pole for the GT3 race. We have a change already. Tom Davey, car number 31, takes the pole after a protest during qualifying. Alongside him, car number 48, Anthony Angeletti, North Vale, New Jersey, who thought he had the pole, is now on the outside pole. He's in a VW Rabbit. We have two of these. We're starting. Right. Yeah, why wouldn't?
Please, if we could have one each. I'm sorry, I didn't play that. My fault.
You want one of these? Another one of these?
For the next race, I'll just work off yours.
Well, you have that one now.
No,
We better start doing this, kid. He's now on the pole. After protest in the Sirocco. Okay. Let's go. Start. Now. Once.
The GT3 classification are smaller engine cars that you call sedans.
Right, we'd call these sedans. No, we wouldn't. We'd call them saloons.
Saloons.
Saloon cars.
No, that's where we're going after this is over. All right. Okay. How about if we...
Except it's Sunday in Georgia.
Yes.
Start again.
They almost up to 6. We're waiting for one away.
No, they're almost up to the dip. Get cracking.
Okay, here we go. A multitude of sports car racing fans have assembled at Road Atlanta for the first race of Sunday of Champion Sparkplug Classic Weekend. The GT3 classification, Anthony Angeletti went home last night thinking his Volkswagen Rabbit was on the pole. But a protest by Tom Davey of Tenafly, New Jersey will put him in the first position in car number 31. Angeletti is bumped to the outside pole in his number 48, both in Volkswagens. Starting third, Bruce Nesbitt of Chicago, Illinois, car number 60 of Dotson. In the fourth spot will be Tom Jones of Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada in a Scirocco. The fifth starter, John Smith of Roswell, Georgia in a Dotson, as is the sixth place car, Rob Walker of Escondido, California. Seventh starter, Ramo Johnson of Manchester, Missouri, also a Dotson, as is Chuck Grohl, the eighth place starter out of Wichita, Kansas. Ninth on the grid is Dave Stager of California in a Scirocco, and Hubert Duprez in a Dotson starts in the 10th position.
One bone of contention here.
Okay, why don't I change these numbers?
Change the numbers?
On these, I'm getting confused there. If I have to... 1 second. Yes. Atlanta as part of Champion Spark Plug Classic Weekend, the GT3 classifications. 4-place sedan cars, and on the pole is Tom Davey of Tenafly, New Jersey, in a Volkswagen Scirocco, and there's a story there.
Well, apparently Tom Davey had moved his firewall in the car to aid the induction of his carburetor, and they docked him 5 seconds for this infringement of the regulations. He then put it back to standard, and they moved him back, gave him his 5 seconds back to put him back on the pole.
It sounds like nobody told Bruce Nesbitt in a Datsun. Nesbitt is trying to get up there onto that outside pole position. That will be occupied by car number 48, Anthony Angioletti of Northvale, New Jersey, in a Rabbit. Starting third, Bruce Nesbitt of Chicago, Illinois, with a Datsun. Fourth on the grid, Tom Jones of Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada, with a Scirocco. Starting fifth is John Smith of Roswell, Georgia, in a Datsun, as is sixth place Rod Walker of Escondido, California, also in a Datsun. Seventh is Ramo Johnson of Manchester, Missouri, with his Datsun. And eighth, Chuck Growell of Wichita, Kansas, in a Datsun. Ninth and 10th, Dave Stager of Palo Alto, California, with a Scirocco, and Hubert Duprez of Atlanta, Georgia, in a Datsun. Very close matchup in qualifying. Davey is a former professional Formula Ford racing champion and no stranger to this Road Atlanta race course.
Well, of course, Davey's big threat here is going to come from Anthony Angioletti in that Rabbit, which is alongside him. Davey being in the Scirocco, and the Scirocco is the car that the Porsche, Audi, or Volkswagen of America have decided is going to be their racing sedan in this country, and they're a little bit miffed by the fact that the Rabbit is doing so well.
As you see the two cars come toward you on the long 5,000-foot backstretch and heading toward this start line, the Scirocco is a low-slung sports car type of machine, while the Rabbit, it looks sort of brickish.
Well, it's pretty boxy. It's what we'd call a saloon car, and that's not somewhere where you go for a drink.
Where they are going is under the Datsun Bridge and down toward station number 12 and looking at the start line. Left of your screen, Tom Davey. On the right, white, red, yellow, and orange machine of Anthony Angioletti. Out of turn number 12, green flag issued by the starter, and the GT3 National Championship race is on. Tom Davey leads the charge into turn number 1. Davey up out of turn number 1. The Scirocco leads.
That looks like one of the Datsuns there spun out.
A 3-car mishap ends up with 1 car rolling side over side several times back at turn number 1. At the front of the field, Tom Davey out of Tenafly, New Jersey, 37 years old, a rider. The pole sitter and the leader coming up through the S's.
Anthony Angioletti is slipped back to 4th place in that melee. He got out, dragged down the straight as the flag dropped. He got left behind by these faster cars, and there's Rob Walker's car.
Walker was the 6th fastest qualifier. That's the car that flipped back at turn 1. He is okay. Davey is the leader. Bruce Nesbitt, car number 60, the Datsun, rides in the 2nd spot, and Tom Jones in number 98, the Volkswagen Scirocco, is 3rd as they're in the backstretch. Angioletti in the 4th spot. He started on the outside pole, and 5th. In car number 30 is Dave Stager, moving up from the 9th position.
Yeah, well, of course, that first corner was such a mess-up one way and another that it spread this field out terribly badly, except for Tom Davey, who's got a very tenuous lead over the Datsun, which pulls alongside him as they go under the bridge, but decides he can't quite make it this time.
Nesbitt ran out of room. He didn't want to go up over those dragon teeth that mark the entrance of pit road. Nesbitt, left side of your screen of the Datsun. He's looking for the lead, turn 1.
Nesbitt waving out the window is something. Takes a fairly handy-looking lead there in the Datsun away from Tom Davey in the Scirocco. That car there, those 2 crashed cars, that one is parked in an extremely dangerous position.
Coming up through the S's, the Datsun of Bruce Nesbitt against the Volkswagen Scirocco of Tom Davey.
Swing through turn 5 there, Davey hot on his heels.
A Datsun, 2 Sciroccos, a Rabbit, and another Scirocco at the head of this GT3 field, running off and leaving the competition.
Waiting for the cars to come through 7. Nesbitt leading Davey by a relatively handy margin here, although Davey will be able to use the draft off the Datsun as they go up the straight.
The third place car number 98, Tom Jones, in sharp contrast to the Davey machine. Tom Davey's car with big wide fender flares on his Scirocco, but the Jones machine is much narrower appearing.
Well, of course, in some ways that'll help him down the straights because he won't have so much drag. Tom Davis car. Oh, Nesbitt doing a beautiful job as he came around there under the bridge.
Wide slide by Nesbitt. Kind of a little bit of extra speed coming out of turn 11. And down through 12. A 5-car breakaway in GT3. Head of the field, Bruce Nesbitt, and Tom Davey closes in on his bumper as they round turn number 1 and up the hill.
Angioletti's been pushed back to 5th place in this high-speed train, but those front 5 have broken away, and Nesbitt and Davey are breaking away from the trailing 3 cars.
Datsun versus Volkswagen. The battle for imported sedan supremacy in the GT3 class. Wide margin beginning to develop between second and third. As you see Tom Davey, the pole sitter, trying to track down Bruce Nesbitt. Third place car just coming into view. That is Tom Jones of Thunder Bay, Ontario. And in the pits, in trouble already,
Hubert Duprez of Atlanta, so he'll be disappointed, a local boy. Not going to make good on this track today. The stop in these short races, these races only 18 laps. Once you stop, you can pretty well say that that's the end of the race as far as you're concerned, but not Tom Davies. He pulls alongside Bruce Nesbitt, going down that long 5,000 foot back straightaway, and takes away the lead from, no, side by side still.
Tight racing at GT3. Davey, left side of your screen, Nesbitt on the right in the Datsun. And that narrower car had a bit of a jump there in the fastest part of the course.
He definitely made quite a bit of ground as they just dropped down that steep hill. Nesbitt's car really getting sideways as they come under that bridge.
Oh, car up the course coming down the hill towards 12, into the rail and over. One of your top 5 machines has gone up and over the rail. Coming down the hill, car number 30, Dave Stager of Palo Alto, California, climbs from the machine. He is not injured.
Well, that was very lucky. He got off the road on the left, did a wild swerve, crossed back over those dragon's teeth, hit the guardrail and bounced right over the top of the guardrail.
What makes this matchup really exciting is the fact that the Datsun is a rear drive car and the Scirocco is front wheel drive. That's why. We'll do that later. You do that when you get to it.
Nesbitt now being hounded by Davey in the Scirocco.
Braking for turn 6. And there is a very disappointed Dave Stager. Looking over the remains of his Scirocco.
The lead 2 cars now pulling away, well away from Tom Jones and car number 98 from Ontario, Canada, Thunder Bay in fact. And Anthony Angioletti in his little Rabbit is getting left behind, because the Rabbit is nothing like as aerodynamic as these cars. It's much more boxy, and of course on this long straight it hurts him. And look at these two, side by side.
What makes this matchup interesting, the Datsun is a rear drive car, and the Volkswagen of Tom Davey, the second place car, is front wheel drive. That's why Nesbitt can slide that car coming off the turn, and Davey has got to take a little straighter line.
Well, Davey's car, if it does anything, I'll be inclined to push rather. And of course the Nesbitt Datsun will be inclined to oversteer slightly, but Davey's car doesn't seem to be using all the road, so maybe he's got a little bit left in reserve yet.
Out of turn number 1, beginning the climb uphill through the S's.
There we see again Nesbitt's car swinging out at the back, and the same here. Davey's car holding a much tighter line around there.
What will cause the car, David, to swing out at the back like that?
Well, it's a classic thing of a rear-wheel drive car with a solid rear axle, that they do tend to skate around a bit at the back, and you can see it there. They tend to oversteer, and of course he's got all the weight at the front. The car's light at the back. Davey's car, of course, is exactly the opposite. All the weight's over the front wheels. And of course you're going to see more and more cars in that front engine, front wheel drive configuration. The new Ford Escort and a whole range of new cars coming down the road in the 80s will be like the Scirocco.
Davey tried for the lead at turn 6 and 7 and was denied by Bruce Nesbitt, the third place starter in the Datsun.
The funny thing is that Davey's car seems to have more initial acceleration and more top speed at this early part of the straight. And right at the end, when they run down that hill, Nesbitt seems to be able to zoom by him again.
You see that Nesbitt's car, now in second place, is a bit narrower than that of Tom Davey. Not much, perhaps just a little. And with less air to push, he may be having an easier time at the end of that backstretch.
That will definitely help him on ultimate top speed.
Uh-oh, way wide again, and he really slides that car around.
He does, he's having a good old time out there. He's enjoying himself.
They are getting into lap traffic, beginning to go by some of the slower cars, as Tom Davies, Volkswagen Scirocco, sawing away at the wheel as he gets into that turn number 1.
He certainly is sawing away at it. And so's Nesbitt too.
There's really no fine controlled line to these cars at flat out speed, is there, David? You really have to work to keep them on line.
Yeah, it's a constant battle at these, and of course the showroom stocks are the same. They're not precise cars like the Formula cars.
Trouble in traffic for Tom Davey. He's having a hard time getting by Bill Lambros of St. Louis. The Dodge Colt finally they're fighting their way by, and Nesbitt is unable to gain ground. Uh-oh. That's Ron Fraser. Ron Fraser of Dover, Delaware, and Tony Schrader of Manchester, Missouri.
Had an unfortunate coming together by the look of things.
That action down at turn number 1 as we pick up the lead once again. Tom Davey in the Scirocco, leading Bruce Nesbitt Stotson.
It'll be interesting to see if he can pull away at the early part of the straight. He's been able to pull up on him and pull past him. With Nesbitt doing the following, will he still be able to pull away?
Judy, if you get another one of these, yell loud and soon. I heard you, but by the time I looked, you missed the shot. Just scream. Hopefully Dickie can get to it. Should we race a mini?
No.
Comes out of turn 7 with a tenuous lead over Bruce Nesbitt. What's the big difference, David, in driving a front-wheel drive car as opposed to a rear-wheel drive machine, the way you attack these corners?
Well, the characteristics are very different. The front-wheel drive cars hold a much tighter line. On the other hand, they do tend to push, rather, or understeer. And the technique is very different. You've got to flick the tail out to get the car out. And, of course, you can't hang the tail out like you can in a car which has conventional rear-wheel drive. Conventional car, if it understeers, you can flick the tail out and hold it out on the power. Whereas with a front-wheel drive car, you hold the front out on the power rather than the back, so the technique is completely backwards. And it does take a bit of getting used to. Of course, these guys that race these cars regularly in the Scirocco's, the Rabbits, because that's the sort of thing they're used to.
Can a driver like Bruce Nesbitt in the second place car, number 60, can he actually gain time by swinging the back end of that car out like that?
Well, he might have to. It depends how the car's set up, how the suspension works. And if it's pushing a lot on its own, he's going to have to swing the back out. But then, of course, you've got to catch it and hold it. There's no good swinging it out too far and swinging it around. And when he applies power, the back wheels are going to spin. They're going to slip slightly, and that will tend to hold the back out, whereas exactly the reverse will be true on the Volkswagen.
Sounds like the fine line between the frying pan and the fire.
That's what racing's all about. It's the man who can keep his foot in it longest around the track who gets round quickest. Brake a bit later, get the power on a bit earlier, and you ultimately give more horsepower to the wheels, whether they're front or back, for the longest period of time, and that is the fastest man. Nesbitt really... Now, he'd have lost a bit of time there, but only a few tenths of a second.
That's a costly error. You can see the separation has widened considerably between Tom Davey and Bruce Nesbitt.
Well, as it did that second wild swing, he would have had to lift off, and that just means that exactly what I was saying a few moments ago. He lifted off, power stops being produced by the engine, and that's time. And look at the time it cost him, just that one little swing.
Nesbitt driving a fine line between speeding the car sideways and losing control as they go beneath the Dotson Bridge. Nesbitt hangs it out again, going over the Dragon's Teeth at the entrance to pit road. They put those speed bumps there so you don't drive there. And if you keep doing that, that'll tear up your suspension.
Well, it's certainly not very good for it. And if your car has these low spoilers like these cars have got, it'll actually touch those on the floor, because once you rip those off, your handling goes to hell. And so it's behoves you to keep off that sort of thing. On the other hand, if the car wants to go out there and you want to go fast, you've got to try and weigh up the choices. So now it took Nesbitt a whole lap to wind that costly mistake at turn 7. It's cost him a whole lap to make it. It
seems the biggest disparity between these two cars is the difference in power between the beginning of the straightaway and the end of the straightaway.
Yeah, I can't quite understand that, because right at the end of the straight, the Datsun definitely goes faster. It could be that it's a narrower car.
There is Tony Schroeder of Manchester, Missouri. He was involved in that crunch earlier in turn number 1. You can see him out of the car. He's done for the day. Lapping one of the slower cars has allowed Bruce Nesbitt to close up on Tom Davey.
Well, this seems to be Nesbitt's quick spot just down here.
Nesbitt looks for the lead, dives in, out breaks Davey, and almost loses it. He does. Nesbitt off the course, coming down the hill, throwing up some of that red Georgia clay, but he gets it back.
Now, he was a lucky boy there. He got it on the brakes far too late coming up under the bridge. And that's a very tricky place to leave it too late, because it doesn't show too well on the screen, but that is quite a peak of a hill there. And the car gets light on the suspension. If you lock up going under the hill, under the bridge, you're in bad trouble, as he was then. But he fought the whole thing all the way and managed to keep himself in one piece.
The front spoiler on the second place car, Nesbitt's car, was angled forward, and it's now been pushed back by that off-course excursion. That will have the effect of lifting the front end slightly.
It'll certainly affect the handling adversely. Is it very bad? It's not too bad. I must say he's pretty lucky there to go across the ground like he did, as fast as he did and as rough as he did. He's lucky he didn't break something.
Well, these GT cars, in sharp contrast to the Formula and sports racing machines, have a pretty good amount of ground clearance. And it's a good thing.
If you'd done that in a Can-Am car or a full sports racing car, it would have ripped a lot of the bodywork off.
And certainly knocked him out of the race.
And, of course, pushed him out of the race.
Bruce Nesbitt, now second place car, tried a little too hard at turn 11 to take the lead from Tom Davey, and has lost considerable ground.
Well, he's got this car that's very much quicker, just right at the end of the straight there, and temptation proved too much. Here we see Nesbitt coming up the inside of Tom Davey, screams alongside, brakes, the rear wheels lock, he gets out of control there, puts a bit of left opposite lock on, goes under the bridge, and he's headed for the grass. Opposite lock turned on and just keeps it off the tyres. I mean, really close. You can see the opposite lock he's got on there as he bounces over the clay, catches it well there, and then of course drives over the bump strips, which also add to his misfortune and discomfort.
He looked like a dirt track sprint car driver out there in the Toolies.
Yeah, he felt like it, I expect.
And Davey wisely jumped on the brakes.
Yeah, well, he didn't want to get involved in that.
There's the difference that Nesbitt has to make up on this man. Your leader, Tom Davey, the pole sitter from Tenafly, New Jersey, a former professional Formula Ford racing champion.
And he's on his 11th lap, so Nesbitt has got a mere 7 laps to try and make up this difference.
And as we saw a moment ago, Tom Davey framed in the windshield of his Scirocco, he has slowed down his driving style somewhat. He's not manhandling the car as much as he was when Bruce Nesbitt was in hot pursuit.
Well, he feels he's got a cushion. On the other hand, you've got to be a bit careful with these cushions. All he needs now is to catch up with a couple of slower cars who are racing for a position, and they can hold him up through those S's, and Nesbitt will be on to him in short order.
Again, lapping by one of the slower cars. Nesbitt has got some ground to make up.
Coming up to Nesbitt's fast piece of track. No doubt he'll be braking just a little bit earlier now than he was.
Well, look at the skid marks. Those dark black marks were those of Nesbitt before he went off the road, and he's still sliding that car.
But he's still trying pretty hard. Of course, he'll be trying harder than ever now.
5 seconds is the difference from Tom Davey back to Bruce Nesbitt.
Now this is Nesbitt doesn't need. Davey caught that back marker, if you remember, right in the middle of the straight, the best place to catch him. And Nesbitt's caught him in one of the worst places, although he did let him through. If he'd been awkward there, he could have held Nesbitt up quite badly.
Second place car, Bruce Nesbitt slides it again.
A bit wide there. Missed the apex completely. Run over the apex there. Now you can see Nesbitt working away. Look at his hands going at the wheel.
He is really sawing away at that car, trying to track down Tom Davey. Because in just a handful of laps, will decide the national champion in GT3. And Nesbitt had a strong shot at it till he got a little over exuberant down at turn number 11 several laps ago.
He got carried away and paid the penalty.
Now it's a lap car.
Anthony Angioletti seems to have slipped right out of the picture now in his little rabbit. It was asking rather a lot of him to be able to keep up with these guys on this high-speed course.
Can I have 31, please? Tom Davey entering turn number 1 is a twice national SCCA road racing champion in Formula Super V, 1970 and 1971. In professional life, he has served as president and creative director of several New York ad agencies. He's also making this rather boring. Yeah, that looks great on camera when he comes down from 11, comes down the hill sideways. That's terrific. We're not seeing him, Judy, though. Or if we'd see him, we'd tell him. I'd like to see Nesbitt coming out from under the bridge as tight as possible, and just see how sideways he gets. As he's really letting them hang out. 60 car, excuse me. And that's him. Bruce Nesbitt trying to make up ground on leader Tom Davey of the GT3 classification. He spun off course at turn 11 earlier, right at this point, coming out from under the Dotson Bridge, and look at him slide that car. Broadside coming down the hill in a desperate attempt to make up time on the leader. Almost off course again, kicking up the clay as they come by the start-finish line. Bruce Nesbitt in the rear-wheel drive Datsun, trying to close ground on that front-wheel drive Volkswagen Scirocco of Tom Davey.
He is really driving the wheels off that car. But he's not making much impression on Tom Davey, the leader, in the Volkswagen Scirocco.
Thank you, Dick. That looked really neat. That is a great shot.
That is a good shot.
As is that one. Just watching the guy's hands saw away coming off that turn. But too good. Unfortunately, Bruce Nesbitt is not gaining any ground on the leader as Tom Davey runs away from national television exposure. expect to see the pit board any moment say slow down TV. Yeah, right. Yeah. We'll get Les Richter down at trackside. Ready, close it up. Ooh. Last lap, Bruce Nesbitt has gained 1 second on Tom Davey's lead, which now stands. And I can't see how many seconds. I was going to look over your shoulder at the watch. Thank you. Here is Tom Davey of the Volkswagen Scirocco with a 4-second lead on Bruce Nesbitt. The two dueled for the lead until Nesbitt drove off course and off into the Georgia foothills at turn 11. But has been gaining ground slowly but steadily. He is now just about 4 seconds behind with less than 4 laps to go.
Another problem that Nesbitt might be running into now is that all this sliding around he's doing will be heating his tyres up, and they may start to go off soon. The temperature today is a good bit warmer. Not exactly a hot day, but it is warmer. And he'll find that if he slides around like that for much longer, his tyres may well start to lose their grip.
Davey, the yellow car, top of your screen. The dark colored machine is that of Bruce Nesbitt. A lap car, separate them. There is Nesbitt in what is the fastest part of the course and where he has the most advantage over Davey, coming to the bridge.
Oh gosh, he's losing more and more. He's running over the dirt that he dropped there earlier. The car he's about to lap, number 76 there, if you'll look closely, has the front completely stove in. Also one of those victims of that first lap crash. So his aerodynamics tended to go away somewhat, I should imagine.
And they're going away.
Whoa, Nesbitt using all the road and a bit more.
But he gained another second last lap, and with 3 to go, it is Tom Davey at the head of this pack. Fourth car in line is Bruce Nesbitt. He'll have a couple of back markers to deal with before he can make a run at the leader. Well,
that's a comforting cushion for Tom Davey at this stage of the race, I can tell you. Having Nesbitt breathing down to the basket.
There's the separation. Less than 4 seconds between first and second. One lap car moves to the side, allows Nesbitt through, but he's getting balked in the corners.
Yeah, all tends to just make you a little bit slower, that sort of thing. You have to give the guy some sort of rule or make allowances for him.
Tom Davey, you saw him look in the mirror coming down the back straightaway, and the way they bounce around, hard to tell if he could recognize Nesbitt's car now at the head of that second pack.
He can recognize it all right. He's at this very moment slapping the old wheel saying, come on.
How many horsepower in these cars, David?
I guess the horsepower in these cars is probably around 150.
There is Nesbitt sneaking under the bridge. Tight line for him that time.
Yeah, relatively conservative.
Past the flag stand. Nesbitt kicks up a little more dirt with 2 laps to go in GT3. Nesbitt has picked up even more time and is now just 2.5 seconds behind the leader.
The leader who is about to lap a slower car, which he has successfully done.
Here comes
Nesbitt. Old Nesbitt out in the cold again, who's having to take an extremely wide line there. The back marker, oh, well, that's it.
Nesbitt has to muscle his way by the slower car.
Yeah, the slower car did it all wrong there. He went wide on that left hand instead of holding himself in and giving Nesbitt road. He went wide himself, pushed Nesbitt out in the dirt. That pushed Nesbitt back behind him, and then he cut him off again.
And look at the lead Tom Davey has opened up as Davey comes out in turn number 7. There's Bruce Nesbitt with a long way to go.
Well, that's all you need is a bit of luck or a bit of bad luck. Just foul up or make the day.
Nesbitt is faster down the back straightaway than Davey. At speed. First 2 cars.
1 full lap to go, 1 and a bit to go for Davey.
And Tom Davey's back in traffic again, and Nesbitt looks to be closing things up. Under the bridge and down the hill. There's Davey going way over the rub strips to pass a slow car. Nesbitt around turn 12, down to the start-finish line. Slow car goes way to the inside to let the leaders by. And despite being balked by a slower car, Nesbitt has picked off another half a second. 2 seconds is the lead. But he's only been getting a half a second a lap back, and this is the last lap.
Extraordinarily well said.
By my addition, he's not going to make it, is he? Coming up through the S's, Bruce Nesbitt has fought back hard since driving off the course early in this race at turn 11. Up to the hook at the south end of the circuit. Nesbitt closing in. Davey brakes hard. Nesbitt dives into the turn. Short straightaway separates turn 6 from 7. Here's the leader, Tom Davey, in that front drive Scirocco, and Nesbitt's letting it all hang out.
Well, Nesbitt's got nothing to lose at this stage and everything to gain.
There's only one national champion, and it will be one of these 2 drivers about half a lap from now. And there is slower traffic ahead at the end of that straightaway.
Well, look for more excitement under the bridge, because this is going to be a do-or-die Nesbitt corner. He's only got 2 corners to go. One of them's about to come up.
Nesbitt is faster than Davey right here at the end of the straightaway. Under the bridge, turn 11. Davey, 10 car lengths of lead, coming down to turn number 12. Nesbitt lets it all hang out, but Davey gets the checkered flag, and Bruce Nesbitt, after a remarkable comeback drive, will finish second by the margin of only 78/100ths of a second.
Oh, that turned into be a good race. It started off as being a good race. Nesbitt went and threw his chances away by driving onto the grass under the bridge and nearly made the ground up, but unfortunately was unable to get absolutely within striking distance of Tom Davey, who drove a pretty smooth race, I must admit, throughout the entire proceedings. The car looking exceptionally tight and neat and tidy on the road. It looks well prepared. The car looks nice, it looks clean. And all in all, a very professionally turned out car.
Right down the street from Joe Hoppin's office, I would imagine so.
That's quite a bit of Joe Hoppin's money.
SCCA competition board, they brought some sanity to the problem. We had a major debate over 3/4 of an ounce, I think, and everything was fine.
Here's why turn 1 is so tough on these starts at Road Atlanta. Coming into the turn, everyone forging to the front of the field, and car number 21 spins. Chuck Growell gets sideways. 2 cars go to the outside to miss him. Rob Walker ends up parked off in the weeds, and here comes John Smith. A little over-exuberant, getting back onto the track and over on his roof. He was not injured.
Well done. You'll just stand inside there. That's It's your 3rd national title, right?
Yeah. The other ones were in formula cars.
GT3 won the World Endurance Driving Championship. This is his second win. He won it
Whenever ready.
in 78 and won it this year as well. And it
Just
was
turn around, face that way a little bit. That's it.
driving together with the gun. John Paul Sr. that
This is Tom Davey, our new GT3 national champion. This is your 3rd championship, Tom. What?
And John Paul Jr. was turning lap times a little bit.
When I'm ready, I'll...
He is certainly a prime candidate for SCCA.
This is Tom Davey, the new GT3 national champion. Tom, this is not your first championship, though, right?
No, I won twice before in formula cars, and this is the first time I've raced a door car, and it's kind of fun.
Well, it certainly looked fun. You had a tremendous race with Nesbitt, who in the winner's circle interview said that the race wasn't over yet. There was 2 more hours to go. What do you think he meant by that?
I don't know. He was the guy trying to do the punting.
It was a very exciting race. Are you happy to have won that first door handle type?
Sure am. Yeah, it was a hard race, I'll tell you.
Well, Tom Davey, congratulations from us, and congratulations on the championship.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I'm not quite sure what they want us fouled up by doing that film, don't they? Yeah, because we'd rather make them wait because we have to get back here for the next race. See, that's the thing. If you can do it, it'll be fine. If they'll do it. I think so, because the cable goes down. I'm not sure. right there and then.
He said he'd like to wait about an hour or so to compose himself, because if he watched it now, he might quit racing. We're not going to do this race? We do, yeah, okay. So we'll get him after. We need to keep him around after Sports 2000. We'll do it, okay?